Hi, if you are thinking of learning a new way to analyze your data that consists of text, consider Discourse Historical Approach. Reisigl and Wodak 2017 came out with this approach, and it is very useful to study texts that describe social action. So this is in fact a critical discourse analysis approach, but it focuses on analyzing language to find out how powerful people use language to gain and maintain power. So what do? We analyze the text, the inconsistencies, the dilemmas inside, and we also use our contextual knowledge and other theories to inform us of what's happening in the text. So based on that, we may suggest practical applications of our results to improve communication, such as guidelines. So before we go into discourse historical approach, let me talk about 5 terms. Firstly, text. This will refer to any oral or written language, which may be 1 word, which may be 10,000 words. Discourse. This refers to semiotic practices related to a macro topic, situated within specific fields of social action. For example, combating discrimination against LGBT. So it means that it is open to reinterpretation, and there are different points of view that you could take to look at the validity claims. Context. There are 4 dimensions: the language in the text, the relationship between the text and the topic, and the context of the situation and the societal context. So all these are taken into consideration when we use discourse historical approach. I talk about social action, that is the practice of taking action to create positive change. Social practice, we look at language as discourse. That means we look at verbal interactions to see how they are influenced by social structures and how they in turn influence social structures. So my explanation is based on Reisigl and Wodak 2017, page 95 here. I will go into each of the 5 strategies one by one. You see here the 5 strategies, and these are the guiding questions that are used. Referential strategies, we are looking at the reference, the people, the objects, or the places that are mentioned. Number 2, predicational strategies, the descriptions of these. And 3, argumentation strategies, what arguments are used in the discourse. And 4, the perspective of the reference and also the predicational strategies and the arguments. And number 5, mitigation and intensification strategies. Do we emphasize something, or do we do hedging to minimize the illocutionary force of the utterances? Now, let me explain this with examples from Shamsuddin and Ghazali 2011, who analyzed LGBT individuals' description of themselves. Number 1, how do they refer to themselves linguistically? Example, gays. Number 2, what characteristics are used to refer to the gays? Maybe odd, maybe soft. Number 3, what arguments are employed in the discourse in question? One of them said, I read the Quran and all, and I know it's sinful, so the argument is religious. Number 4, from what perspective are these nominations, attributions, and arguments expressed? Here, it is from the Islam religion perspective and from the gay point of view, because the people interviewed are gays, and they are speaking of their experience and viewpoints. And number 5, are the respective utterances articulated overtly? Are they intensified or mitigated? Well, I only talk about modal verbs. The participants say maybe by 30, God will give me guidance to change. So maybe. So this is a mitigation. Now, I will take you through each of the discursive strategy one by one by telling you what to look for in your analysis. There are all these possibilities out there that you could take to analyze. You may analyze all of them, or you can analyze selectively some, but this needs to be made known to your readers when you write your journal paper. Discursive strategy 1. How are persons, objects, phenomena, events, processes, and actions named and referred to linguistically? Okay, we look at dialectics, the words and phrases. Maybe the people are referred to by their surname, maybe by figurative expressions, and there are metonymies and so on. There are words that are closely associated but not the actual word itself. Discursive strategy 2. What characteristics, the predication strategies? How do we describe them? Positive or negative traits? Of course, then we will be using adjectives. We can also use nouns, prepositional phrases, and many other clauses that I have listed here. So when you do the analysis, you actually need to refer to the guidelines given by Reisigl and Wodak, so that we do not miss anything. In analyzing characteristics, there could be very explicit comparisons, similes, metaphors, and other rhetorical strategies. So it could be implicit, it could be explicit, but we are looking for descriptions of the people, the places, the objects, and so on that we analyze in the first discursive strategy, the nominations or the reference. Next, discursive strategy 3, argumentation. What arguments are used? We want to analyze the justifications for something, and we want to analyze, for example, are they questioning the truth and the correctness of something, whether it is right or wrong? And this is where we need to look out for fallacies. That means it's a mistaken belief. People could have mistaken belief about something, but they use it for their reasoning and their argument, but it is totally logical to them. But if we, using the contextual information, see that as a fallacy, we will then talk about it as a fallacy. Examples given by Reisigl and Wodak. It could be threat of something. It could be a perceived threat to you, but others do not see it as a threat. But because it is real to you, you use it as a basis for your actions and for the things you say. So that then becomes an argument, your justification for things. Next, discursive strategy 4. From what perspective are these nominations, attributions, and arguments expressed? So number 4 actually takes in what we have analyzed previously, the 1, 2, and 3. Now we are positioning the speaker's or the writer's point of view in regard to the content. Okay, so basically I would analyze the point of view. First person perspective, reflected through the use of I, we, and so on. Or third person perspective, they. This is when people analyze us versus them, the insider versus outsider, and there is a phenomenon called the othering of the other group. Okay, so that is the point of view. We can also analyze the distance from the subject matter and the distance of the characters inside from the subject matter. This is analyzed using direct voice, direct speech, and indirect speech or reported speech. So it creates that involvement that is different. So we will see how much of all these are used when we look at nominations, attributions, and arguments. And lastly, discursive strategy 5. Intensification or mitigation, making it stronger or making it weaker. So I have put here in red color, intensification, and blue color, mitigation. So let's look at some of the devices that are used for intensification. Augmentatives, words like of course, actually. This increases the intensity of the meaning. Tag questions. You agree with me, right? That is getting agreement from the interviewer. It actually also intensifies the meaning. Hyperboles, exaggeration, litotes, or ironic understatement in which the affirmative is expressed by the negative of its contrary. I shall not be sorry is actually stronger than I shall be glad, the double negative in a way. So let's move on to the mitigation. Modal verbs has been analyzed by a lot of researchers, but beware, modal verbs can intensify, can also mitigate. Hesitations, but this is not talking about spoken language whereby people say and then they continue speaking. This is talking about actual words used. I mean, I guess, because we are doing text analysis. Vague expressions, people say do it in replacement for sex. Diminutives, this is the opposite of the augmentatives. That means there is a short form, a contraction, acronym. It somehow actually removes the intensity of the meaning because the full word is not expressed. We also analyze verbs of saying and feeling. I'm going to give you more examples of this later. These are action verbs, saying verbs like sobbed, thinking verbs, I wonder, I think, relating verbs, something is something. So if you want to go really into the linguistic analysis, you can go for all of these. And there are meanings to it. Why choose one over the other? Feeling words. Words for openness, happiness, feeling good, love, and so on. These are more obvious expressions of something. So you can intensify the meaning most of the time when you use feeling words. So lastly, to conclude, I will say discourse historical approach is a qualitative analysis approach, and therefore the rules of qualitative research applies. Each text must be analyzed thoroughly to understand that person's experiences or reality. Or if we are analyzing newspaper articles and social media messages, we need to analyze it thoroughly. Number 2, do the DHA analysis question by question for each text. We do nominations first, then we do predication, then we go and do 3, 4, and 5. Because if we think we can look at this one sentence and tackle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we are going to miss something. So do it question by question. Reisigl and Wodak provides 5 questions to guide the analysis. Number 3, recheck the analysis. There is bound to be something we might miss, and it's normal to have corrections. After we have analyzed a few texts, we go back to the beginning, check it until our analysis framework in our mind has stabilized. And number 4, remember that the terms we use for argumentation and point of view are applicable for each text, and stick closely to that person's reality. We do not use abstract terms at the very beginning. We stick to their term because it is their reality. Later, when we move to conclusions, we might then use more abstract terms that cover the terms that are used by a few individuals. So I hope that my explanation of the discourse historical approach has opened your eyes to another avenue to analyze text, and it will bring out a lot of meanings that we don't even realize are there, because language is used to shape people's perspective, and they are used to achieve certain purposes. Thank you.